Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us May 12th for our Heckman Contract Safe Communities and COVID-19 webinar presentation. A couple of things before I get started. My name is Diane Suits. I'm a sales manager with Heckman Contract. This video webinar is being recorded and it will be uploaded to our website for later use if you'd like to go back and see some of the details, or if you would like to download it for somebody else's use. And how you do that is just go to the website under resources, downloads, and then navigate to We're Coming to You series. And hosted there are approximately 9-10 webinars for you to view. So that's the first thing I want to cover. The second thing is you can, although this is a one-way communication, you can ask questions. As you move your mouse around the screen, a bar will pop up with a Q&A. So just go through there and type your questions as we progress through the presentation. And at the end of the presentation, I'll be looking at the questions and any chat activity that comes in. This morning, this call is about 32 minutes. So I'm going to book and I'm going to go real fast because I try to keep these around 20. It's a lot of information to cover. It's a very interesting subject. So jumping into safe communities and COVID-19. When I put this together a few weeks ago, we at Heckman Contract really thought hard about how we want to respond to what was happening in our world and our nation during this very, very unusual time, and what that means for us as senior living manufacturers. So I've broken the presentation down into COVID-19. We'll talk a little bit on the first few screens about COVID-19, the impact on the elderly, and then we'll move into the goal is for all of us to provide safe communities for our elderly residents, and just looking a little bit in detail about fabrics, finishes, and then product offerings that we have that promote that safety feature and functionality. So a couple things, I've updated this a little bit based on recent information because this whole pandemic is very fluid, but we know that COVID-19 coronavirus seriously affects the elderly. They're a much greater risk than the rest of the population for the most part overall. And so as you look on the left here, the bolded figure, these are actually death rates of people in different decades, and it significantly increases in 60 and older, as we know. This was as of about 5-6 weeks ago, but it's still fairly accurate right now. Part of the reason we are even emphasizing this and looking at obviously COVID-19 and the impact on elderly is because of the average age of the residents in senior living communities. So looking at independent living, assisted living, that average age is approximately 84. Skilled nursing facilities tends to be typically around 87 years of age. So part of the reason COVID-19 affects elderly is because of the immune system. As we age, our immune system decreases and it's just not as effective and robust as when we're younger. Now, having said that, you can have an elderly person 80, 90 years old with a very healthy way of life, and they're very healthy, and their immune system could even be better than that of a 40, 50, 60-year-old who has chronic conditions and is frail. And so some of this is, it just really depends upon the person's overall health and their immune system and underlying conditions. But for the most part, as people age, their immune system obviously does as well. The stark example is really the country of Italy compared to China. These are COVID cases, and this is just from a few weeks ago, but the stark difference in percentages, mainly because Italy has such an old population, median age is 47. And so that affected that population much more than China, which has a younger overall population. And the other thing I learned is elderly men generally don't fare as well as elderly women. It's due to inefficient B and T cells. It all is wrapped up in your immune systems. But it was very interesting to read about and how the body is really left with fewer anti-coronaviruses defenses to fight this. And then I think the takeaway too in what I researched was the fact that we're all hoping to gather antibodies from this. We're hoping to naturally create a resistance so that we can fight this disease moving forward on our own. Well, immunosenescence is a theory, and it's not a theory, it's a fact that as you age, your immune system declines just from natural aging. So if the coronavirus continues to circulate, even at sub-pandemic levels, The elderly that may have survived the first round or curve, hill, if you will, may not be immune should they be exposed to the virus again. So this is something we obviously are going to be looking for and watching carefully, just as a concern for our elderly people. And all of this is still being developed. Day after day, we are hearing and learning more about this virus. It's just so young yet. So a couple of things, I looked at the COVID impact on senior living. So this was over a month ago now, but this was kind of some of the thought process that was people were panicking, wanting to remove their loved ones from senior care. And I think this article was very well done. It was McKnight Senior Living, but it just talked about the fact that families need to take a step back and ask why we put our loved one there in the first place. And it's really because it is a safe environment. The way they're going to get COVID-19 is for other people bringing it in for the most part. Now, yes, that could be kitchen staff or facilities cleaning and stuff like that. But for the most part, with them being on lockdown now, and so many communities have really stepped up efforts to protect their residents, it is a safe place based on compared to them being in the general population, even at our houses with teens and children in and out. And now us returning back to work, we have the opportunity, I guess is the word, to expose our residents much greater if they're living in our care. So it's an individual decision to be sure, but there's more than just thinking about COVID-19 if you're going to move somebody home. On that same note, something I'd heard, and this was from just a week ago, is that the senior housing market was on the decline for people registering and signing up. And I thought this was very interesting. It also hits again on senior housing seen as a safe harbor. That will continue to be the case. Seniors and elderly, they are more susceptible to virus and contagious diseases and more risk at doing when ordinary tasks like grocery shopping. So that's all been elevated. We're all very aware of what that looks like. So now we're kind of taking a pose of like, how do we protect them? If you think about it, the field trips, the trips to the grocery store and things like that have been really reduced at assisted living and things like that. At my mom's place, for instance, there's no buses going out anywhere. People are bringing groceries to their loved ones or they have services doing it, but they're really limiting the risk. But part of the reason the signups are down in these communities, as National Investment Centers pointed out, is because of the moratoriums being put on move-ins. They don't want new people moving in necessarily right now, bringing anything in. And then in additional, there's not elective surgeries happening. So that post-surgical rehab that takes place when the numbers go up for people to be placed, that is not happening. So I thought that was helpful to see a different side of perhaps why the signups for senior living communities and people moving in are not on the rise. Heckman Contract, in response to all of this that's happening, took a look inside and said, what can we do? You know, we don't make hand sanitizers, we don't make vacuum floor cleaners, but we make furniture. And how is our furniture meeting the need of the people in these communities? Antimicrobial properties, just even down to specifications of particular furniture, reducing the risk of falling and things like that. So that's what we're going to talk on a little bit today. It's a challenge to us as manufacturers who are manufacturing, designing, engineering furniture into this market. We're going to first touch on fabrics. So I've done a little research, got a little information here that I want to share with you. Fabrics is always talked about anytime we talk about upholstery, and that's where we're going to start today. There's way too many words on most of these screens. It's my pet peeve. So I'm not going to read this to you, but I would love for you to go back. You can download it later. I've also indicated a lot of links at the bottom where I've pulled this information from if you want to read more about it. So one thing that I learned from our rep here in Michigan, Jennifer Kahns from Meyer Fabrics, she spent quite a bit of time with me on the phone and educated me just on some of the different technological terms that I thought I knew. Some I did, some were it was eye-opening. But the difference between antimicrobial and antibacterial is very big. Maybe some of you know this, I did not, but antimicrobial inhibits the growth of microbes, and that includes specific things, whereas antibacterial is really just a chemical that kills specific bacteria cells. So those are very different. What you're looking for in your fabrics, in your finishes, is antimicrobial. The antibacterial is going to be more of your hand sanitizer and cleaners type thing. And then also silver ion technology. I had heard about this in sheets and socks and things like that. It's more related often to odor. But again, this inhibits microbes. It's infusing fibers with natural silver provides ways of natural for textiles to inhibit that bacterial growth. And again, this is something that's implemented in different products that we sell. So the thing Jennifer really stressed a lot about was cleanability is essential. She said it probably 4 or 5 times. And I just think her rationale behind that is you can get a lot of fabrics that are not bleach cleanable. And she said it's really critical. The CDC has a recommendation for percentage of bleach cleanable solutions here or hospital grade disinfectants. And it's important that they're cleaned according to instructions. So I always often challenge designers that when they're specifying fabric for senior living, obviously the double rubs and the aesthetic and all of that stuff is very critical and important, but so is the cleanability. Do not overlook the cleanability of a fabric. It's critical for the longevity of that fabric, but also for the health of the residents living there. One thing I want to touch on here is the kill time. I almost overlooked this. It's important to leave the solution on for a kill time. It does need to be wiped off to prolong the life of materials, wood and fabric, but you've got to let it set and do its job. So that was something she really camped on, and just it's important to read the instructions on how to clean something because of the fabric and because of the cleaner that you're using. So the other thing many of you are aware of, different fabrics. We've got our coated fabrics, vinyl. These have improved tremendously over the years, and the VOCs have gone down. There's left off gassing, which is just so important for our air quality, but they're not as green guard friendly as maybe a PVC-free polyurethane. They don't contain VOCs. Sorry, I got an error there. But those also vary in quality based on hydrolysis and the manufacturing process. And then silica, again, is very durable, a newer fabric in the last few years. And vinyl is used heavily in senior living. It's a low cost option and definitely specified a lot on seating. And then the Krypton has come a long way in the last few years, just really with the feel of it, even the hand, if you will, when you touch it. There's a lot of soft, cozy fabrics now. And I remember looking at them even 5, 6 years ago, and they were rough and scratchy, many of them. So those have come a long way just for the feel of it. But the coating on the back that's inherent to Krypton is what creates that penetrability, the imperviousness of the water that will literally just sit and pool on that fabric rather than soaking into the cushion or the frame. If as a designer, you really are set on selecting a fabric that doesn't fall into these categories, then certainly you're going to want to look at an aftermarket option for impenetrable coating that's an aftermarket. And I've just listed a few here. So one thing that Jennifer talked about, there's a healthy hospital initiative that's kind of started in California. I'm not sure if it's really working its way across the country. I don't think it is right now, but I do feel like this is an option that Meyer came out with, and some other manufacturers as well, that they are allowing fabrics to not have the antimicrobial included. And here it shows, and these are just the beginning of the alphabet, there's many more. This just shows a few of them. If they really want to stay with the HHI, which is really, we don't want any additives, we don't want too much antimicrobial that people become resistant to the bacteria and stuff like that. They want their bodies fighting this stuff. So there's other options. And Jennifer pointed this out, that if for some reason people don't want antimicrobial, antibacterial, there are certainly options for that as well. Stinson Fabric also provided some information, and they have come up with some innovation that I just think is fabulous. So they had provided some information here. Obviously, we've always been concerned about disinfecting in senior living and in healthcare, but it's going to be more pronounced moving forward in senior living as well. And so they have added a disinfectant search on their C-sample spec portal. And it's just fabulous. I went to it, I looked, and I pulled this up a little bit, and it's just kind of showing it the environmental impact, or I'm sorry, the environmental options that you have here. Here's the Healthy Hospital Initiative. And then here is the actual cleaning ingredients and different things that you can use on the specific fabric. So if you want to, your executive director and facilities people are set on using 3M surface disinfectant, you can select that button. It will pop up with the fabrics that fall into that cleanability category. It's brilliant. So they're using the EPA guidelines for a lot of their development of fabrics, and there's certain criteria that these fabrics have that will be resistant against SARS and different coronaviruses that have come up in the past. So very, very interesting. Again, you can see more of these on our website. We partner with these 4 vendors very closely. But remember, we do grade in any fabric vendor. We just prefer it to be a healthcare fabric if you're going specifying for that market. But here's some beautiful cards posted. Many of them are fluid and dynamic. As you click on them, it'll bring them to the website and show grades and things like that. I just put a couple fabric cards here from that website. Jennifer Kahns has developed a memory care card, and then Anna Stinson, this is a pretty vinyl from Stinson Fabrics. So lots to choose from of those graded in fabrics. So in addition to fabric, specifications matter. We safely design, engineer, and manufacture our products really to fit the needs of an aging body. And that means shorter seat heights, seat depths, arm heights, and foam density. Definitely, as you age and the higher level of care in a community, the more dense the foam. It allows the autonomy of the resident to get in and out of that chair without help, protects their dignity, pride, things like that. You'll find in senior living when a designer specs a chair that she likes, but maybe isn't conducive to the aging population, they'll just avoid it. They just won't sit there. It's either too deep or it's too soft and they just can't get out. By the way, all of the pictures you see here are of installs on location I've either been to or that were in our files. It shows some of our capabilities here with furniture. So I was asked on the last call, and I just added these dimensions. These are real approximate, but at the end of the call, it specifically was asked, what do you recommend for seat depth, height, arm height? I went through our website and pulled a lot of different pieces of upholstery. And for the most part, when we develop, our seat depth and height and arm height are right around these specifications. And then we have foam density with hospitality or senior living. And I'll show you what that looks like on the next screen. But this chair, for instance, the weight of this chair is around 25, maybe 28 pounds. And we've had designers completely flip over their standard to a chair like this after having used a competitor's chair that's much heavier. The complaint was their fingers were getting pinched between the table because they can't control the weight of the chair as they move forward. Likewise, they have a hard time pushing back even with front casters because the chair is too heavy. So I thought that was very important. I always thought it was more related to shipping, but this is a big concern in senior living as well. What I did here is I pulled 2 chairs and I just wanted to show you the difference between, they look identical, don't they? But this product number is a 9 and this is a hospitality chair and you can see the dimensions here. It's deeper. And so, the foam is not as dense. That is a hospitality chair railing. And these icons show you that up here, along with the detail down here. Whereas this is Riley, it's a product number of an 8, which denotes senior living. The foam is going to be much more dense, as highlighted down here. I'm hoping you can see that. And then it's just, we shave off a couple inches. Those 2 inches on that seat depth make a lot of difference. It is a ½ inch lower. But for the most part, that's been changed. And overall, the chair is about the same. This one's a little bit taller, it looks like, or no, it's really the depth of it is deeper because of the seat depth. So I just thought that was interesting to point out. You can look at 2 very different chairs, pay attention to the detail here and what you're specifying for. Along with the specifications matter, it's the functionality of the chair. These are just some chairs I pulled. We've got our motion power lift recliner over here. It comes in Samantha, Brooke, or Leonard. And it also comes in a manual recliner as well with a flip here. But this just shows the motion of the chair from sit to stand. It's effortless. It really does assist the user in entering and exiting as they lose core strength. And then motion rocker here is just a gentle motion. And there's a clean out in the back. So that's really helpful. We're doing more of that moving forward with those clean outs. And they're unnoticeable. It's a great option. You just want to do whatever you can to avoid bodily fluids seeping into the cushions and frames. Anytime you see on our website, whether it's hospitality or senior living, if you see a loose seat cushion, there's going to be a moisture barrier decking underneath. Not to be confused with moisture barrier, which the cushions can be wrapped in, the chair can be wrapped in underneath the layer between the foam and the fabric. But this moisture barrier decking, there's no upcharge for it. It's standard on a loose seat cushion chair with us. and it just does do that duty of preventing the bodily fluids from seeping into the frame. Moving down here, we've got a lift and clean. This flips forward on hinges, and it allows bodily fluids to flow through. It's a great clean out for facilities. It's very easy, and this comes in only very firm foam, our senior living foam density. One of my favorite chairs is our glider here. It's either Millie or I'm not sure, but I do love this one. I love the dimension. I've been in this chair many times. It shows you sit in it, and it's an easy release motion here, and the chair begins to glide. But when you first sit in it, it's stationary, and then you lock it again to rise. So it's that safety feature of sitting down in a chair that's stationary, standing up in a chair that's stationary, but you're still allowed the motion that memory care likes. So any questions on these, you can certainly reach out to us. Moving into finishes and tables, case goods. This is actually a wood table with a bullnose edge, very residential looking, beautiful, durable. And so this is just a fantastic example. This is our Bruce chair, and all of our finishes for Thermo Shield, which we'll talk about in a minute, and wood tables can be found in our matching upholstery chair finishes. I just want to point that out. But the important thing about this table and this wood is what's encompassed in the coating, if you will, the lacquer. It's a catalyst finish, and so that bonds with polymer structure, and it makes it resistant to the alcohol, water, staining agents, and really overall material degradation. So it prolongs the life of the furniture with moisture and scratch resistant, but it also provides the antimicrobial and silver ion additive. And you will definitely want your tables, your case goods, wood to include these finishes. And it's also in our upholstery finish as well on these tables, on the chairs, on the arms and things like that. Very, very important. So just keep that in mind. Very, very important, not only for the antimicrobial benefits, but the additional lifetime that it provides. Moving from wood to thermofoil, and if you don't know what thermofoil is, it's really a substrate that is covered with a baked on vinyl. So these beautiful vinyl finishes here come on a roll, and this is baked on. This is our machine at work in Zeeland, Michigan, doing this process, making some drawer fronts. The beautiful thing about this product is that it is seamless, which reduces areas for bacteria to hide, if you will, viruses to hide. Very cleanable, even with abrasive chemicals. It just holds up really well, lower price point than wood. And we have a lot of different styles in this type of furniture, maybe 7 or 9 different types of drawer fronts and styles. The thing you'll notice too, well, I want to just point this out, is our engineer, when I asked him a few weeks ago, what do you prefer? He said, you just can't get it better than Thermo Shield for antimicrobial seamless vinyl protection. And so I just thought that was really interesting from his perspective, because this is what he does all day, is design tables and resident room furniture. So if you have any questions, please holler in this. The other thing I pointed out here is these corners are rounded, and we do that on purpose on all of our furniture. All of our Thermo Shield / thermofoil case goods is really to reduce the catching of skin as they age. Their skin is older, it bruises easier. So we really want to have a soft profile edged piece in there, as often in the night they may be reaching for something over here in the dark. The drawers are vinyl wrapped inside, which is fabulous for medications or liquids or anything else they might be storing in there. And there are drawer liners, we'll talk about that in a minute, but really with the vinyl coated drawers, it allows a lot of protection. These are, like we mentioned, easy to clean, and then the backs are vented for circulation, which is critical. The wood cased goods for resident rooms, they also include the pre-catalyzed lacquer with the antimicrobial finish. And these are available with solid surface. If you just order a typical cabinet, it's going to be a wood base with an HPL, high pressure laminate top. Those are very durable tops, very cleanable, heat resistant, and they do match. You can contrast those as well. And these come in a lot of different styles. We have a lot of different finishes and hardware as well. But keep in mind, you can also do solid surface on the tops of these, which is a great look and very impervious to liquids and super easy cleanable, lasts a long time. Some of the other product enhancements I identified that we sell in addition to just what we put into it with fabrics and finishes is just features. So on our bedsides, we've introduced an option for motion censored lighting, which will illuminate the path for the resident to the bathroom and back in the middle of the night. Everything in senior living is about reducing the risk of falling. When a resident, a senior falls, we've got some big trouble. There's broken hips and things, and it just often leads to not a good situation and advanced level of care, even perhaps. So, or worse. And so just keep in mind, this is some of the products that we've developed or features that will help assist in the safety of a resident. Motion censored bedside lighting. We also have electrical on the side should they want to plug in their phone or things like that just for emergency contact at night. Drawer liners is another way, especially for wood products, to keep those chemicals or the liquids, I would say, out of the creases of the drawers. And then the U-sit bench is something we introduced actually with our memory care line called Reveal. It's available now with any of our Thermo Shield finish lines. We added handrails, of course, because that's how seniors rise. They use the muscles in their shoulders and arms often to lift them from a seat, unlike us who uses our core body and our legs. This is a great place for people to perch. As we know, elders have often trouble with low blood pressure, high blood pressure, but the low blood pressure creates an unusual risk of falling, faintness, and it allows them to sit down, put their pants on, tie their shoes, or maybe even just get eye level to a grandchild. So it's just a great added product that we just put in our line probably a couple years ago. Very well received. The wardrobe, we have breakaway bars for safety. We've also added motion censored light options in here just to illuminate the belongings in case they don't have to, hobble over to the corner of the room and turn on the light. Everything's right there. They open the door, the motion sensor goes on. Some of our cabinets even have ambient lighting in the top because of plexiglass tops, so you can find those on our website. Just really important, these features that have been integrated into the case goods. The last one I want to talk about is just custom storage. And you're thinking, how is this a safety feature? Really, we have implemented soft closed drawers and doors on here so fingers don't get pinched. They do come in solid surface tops, which is going to inhibit the growth of bacteria and things like that because they're just so cleanable. 10 days lead time on these out of Zeeland, Michigan. Solid wood, beautiful product. So moving forward, I think what we've talked about up to this point is product safety. It's really who we are. It's what we do. Made in America. And we are passionate about developing furniture that's not only comfortable, but safe. And as we move forward, I kind of took a step back and said, what is COVID-19 doing to the design community? Found this article. It's a few weeks old now, a month old. But I just thought it was very interesting because it's talking here about the sheltering. While we're sheltering in place and we're having people, in their rooms, that gives them that protection and peace of mind, it also comes with a cost to the operators. I've noticed levels at my mom's care, they're trying to get people socialized. It's very difficult. It's games and puzzles sitting in their room and things like that. But future designs are going to seek solutions that will safely maximize interaction with the outside world, even during a time like this. God forbid we have another pandemic, but what are they going to do in design? This is going to be very interesting to watch. This could be a once in a century, we all hope, situation, but what are we learning from it? And this designer from Milwaukee, I like his thought process. It's taking worst case scenario, designing from that, and for the future, we're going to be better off. These are little pictures of smaller communities eating here and smaller socialization areas. Be interesting to watch and see the design innovation. So overall, our goal is safe communities. I want to quickly end, we've got a couple more minutes. I just want to chat real quick. As I was pulling this presentation together over and over and over again, up came the factoid of isolation with seniors. It is a real problem right now in communities all over the world. Typically as people, we pull together our families. If there's a risk with our son is overseas, our daughter fighting, there's a bomb scare at school, there's anything like that, we tend to pull our loved ones together. Now we're being asked to do just the opposite. Isolate, stay in your own space, don't connect face to face. It's very difficult and it forces seniors into their room, which is exactly what operators have been trying to avoid for decades. They're cut off from general population other than their phone or perhaps internet. So I just kind of want to challenge you to reach out in your even community to see what you can offer. Maybe it's calling the assisted living place up the street. Maybe there's residents there without family members and they do need grocery runs and they can't maybe afford some of the services that stores offer. Just maybe reach out and do something that comes to mind. I do feel that this isolation factor is really, really pushing on our seniors especially. Something I was encouraged by as I was investigating this is just the improvising for social engagement. This is an exercise class happening in the fall in the hall. This here, they're writing on the doors here for Easter, but I've seen some wonderful expressions of love on Mother's Day with families gathering outside. Took my mom for a walk Sunday, and it was cold and yucky, but there was 4 or 5 families at different windows throughout her community outside, gathered there trying to communicate with their loved one. And then this community actually brought in a band so residents could hang out in their balconies. We are all part of our social interaction engagement. No man's an island. We're part of our common experiences, and this is no exception. So overall, our goals are safe, healthy. The well-being of our seniors is just always going to be our top priority. Going to look at some questions now. I don't think there's any. One thing I want to communicate with you is we do have some upcoming webinars happening on Thursday. You'll want to tune in for these. My associate Mike Hall, who covers the Eastern Seaboard, will be talking on special solutions. I did rapid response a few weeks ago, and we have really enhanced that program, and you'll want to check in with us on Thursday at 10:30 and 1:30 with Mike on the webinar to find out more about quick ship, rapid response, as well as our custom capabilities. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. I know I went a little long. I like to keep these at 20 minutes, but I so appreciate you sticking with me. Thanks so much. Have a great day now. Bye-bye.